Pittsburgh Steeler fans, welcome back to another episode of the Scho Bro Show. This is Steel Curtain Network. Dave Schofield coming at you Tuesday night, a little bit after 9 p.m. Where else would you rather be as a Steelers fan so we can deal with this craziness together? And with me, as always, except when he's not, is my big brother, Rich. Big Bro Scho, how's it going this evening?
Dave, I was actually hoping I would have liked to have started the show with a paper bag over my head, but, not many places use them anymore. And then I was going to take a small breath and say, whew, smells like trash.
Oh, well, I was going to say, oh, Big Bro, you're looking even better tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, yeah, we're going to talk a good bit about this past Steelers game because, in case you all didn't realize that this came up a little bit in the post-game show too. In the immediate aftermath of the clock hitting triple zeros, Big Bro and I did not really see eye to eye on things. We were both frustrated about the Steelers losing the game. But I'll be honest with you, when the Steelers got the ball after that punt, my wife was watching with me, and I said to her, I'm like, the question is how soon is the turnover coming? Said, this game's going to end with a turnover. That's going to get the Bears winning the turnover battle. And I just didn't have a good feeling about the last drive doing anything to tie it up. I honestly didn't. And it was kind of my expectation of a lot of stuff. And although I know that I set up a lot of stuff with the game to say, hey, the Bears don't have the quality wins. This is now their biggest quality win is against the Steelers. Okay. So therefore, I'm like, it's not like there's just some unbeatable team. But as you can see, they're not awful. It's not like this is an embarrassing loss like they lost to somebody like the Raiders or something like that. But it's one of those games that when you look at the quality of the team they're playing, that's not a bad team. You just want to believe that your team is better than what you were seeing from the opposition. And the harsh reality is that they weren't. And that's tough to deal with. It's not the worst loss of the season. It's actually one of the easier to swallow losses of anything, an NFC opponent on the road. And they lost by the exact spread that the game started at, which was 3 points. So I understand the frustrations, but really there was nothing about this game that fell differently than what was expected by people that aren't fans of either team. You thought the Steelers were complete trash, and that's all they are right now.
And let me just say this,
bro.
Let me just say this, Dave. Guess what?
What?
Guess what? On our take, I win. You know why?
Why?
There's somebody out there that must read my knee-jerk reactions.
Okay.
Because they 100% were saying the same things I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
And that's if you watch the Debo and Joe podcast yesterday.
Yeah,
Thank you. I believe Debo must read my knee-jerk reactions because he was the same.
Yeah,
he was the same as I was.
I'm not saying that the Steelers didn't do a lot of ridiculously crazy things that I felt did not put them in the best situation to win that game. I'm not going to disagree with that. But my point is I'm like, this was still what is now I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure that's now an 8-win team that the Steelers lost to on the road. If I were to tell you the Steelers lost to a team that was after the game 8-3, when they had to go on the road to a place that they haven't won in 30 years, and they lost by 3 points. When you look at that and not the actual ins and outs of the games itself. Just look at the overall narrative of the game. It's not as bad as what it seems.
Yes, it is.
But to lose by 3 points to an NFC team on the road that is 8-3 and leading their division, that's not as bad as what that sounds. But when
it is.
Game itself, that's where you get frustrated.
No, here's why it is. The game against the Chargers made this game even worse.
Okay.
Because that's now 2 games where you have played teams decimated by injury and failed to take advantage of where they had major replacements.
That's true. But the Steelers didn't have their starting quarterback.
Did you
Were
really
supposed to beat an 8-3 team on the road without your starting quarterback?
Dave, you are in our Slack channel.
Yeah.
You got the distribution of where all the passes were made. Guess where we didn't throw the ball at all?
Dude, you are breaking up like crazy.
Where are those 3 linebackers?
Yeah, you were all static.
It's because you won't be quiet. Because you won't be quiet. You won't be quiet and give me a chance to talk.
No, I'm saying no. There is a problem with your stuff right now. With your mic or stuff. Huh?
Is there still?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm just letting you know because we're breaking down that fourth wall. Right at the
Is that any better?
No. Yeah. So I'll go ahead and address this question while we're at it. People are saying, Dave, when is the preview this week? Since it's Thanksgiving. Preview will be coming out tomorrow in the afternoon. That tomorrow as in Wednesday. So that is what it is. Okay. But no, my point is if you just took the overall narrative of that game and put it in that light, it's not as bad of a loss as what you're saying. It really isn't. And I know you're saying a team decimated by injuries. You know what? There are plenty of teams that are decimated by injuries this time of year. But what my point is saying, this game is going to be one of those that shows how bad it is in the coming weeks when the Bears play some other quality opponents. That's just what I'm saying.
Dave, I don't care.
You're good now, by the way.
I switched which port I was plugged into. I thought it was maybe not doing as well. Dave, I don't care who the quarterback was on Sunday. Okay. We failed to challenge those inside linebackers that were replacements.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter who the quarterback was.
Actually, it does.
No, it does not.
Yes, it does. Because Mason Rudolph struggled with revertigo. Okay? He struggled with revertigo. He reverted back to every version that we've seen of Mason Rudolph in the past, where he's scared to death to throw the ball in the middle of the field. If you look at that final
then they should have put Will Howard in the game. Then they should have put Will Howard in the game.
But my thing is, look at the final play. They had the first down in the middle of the field, and he went to DK Metcalf on the sideline.
I know. Okay, but here's the thing. If the game plan was to attack those inside linebackers and Mason Rudolph was refusing to do it, then take him out of the game and put Will Howard in.
But the thing is, are you wanting Mason Rudolph to be anything other than what Mason Rudolph is? That's who Mason Rudolph is. That's who he is.
If the game plan was there, Dave.
He's always had the U-shaped targets.
Dave, if the game plan should have been to attack those inside linebackers. And if that was the game plan, and you had a quarterback that was unwilling to follow that game plan, especially because he's the backup, what does it hurt to pull him out and put somebody else in and say, go throw the ball and take care of attacking these linebackers?
And the game plan to attack those inside linebackers wasn't the game plan all week because you didn't even know that they were out until Friday after practice. So do you want to change up the game plan on a guy making his first start? because now everything changes with the injury report. I also think that
the week before they were talking, it was likely they were going to be missing at least 2 of the 3, if not all 3. That talk was going on all week.
Yeah.
So if you're not preparing for that, when you're hearing that being reported all week, then again, if I'm not throwing it on the players, then I'm throwing it on the coaching staff. Okay?
To me, it was a combination of everything. Yeah.
It was bad. It was trash. And Debo agreed with me.
I'm just saying, this loss will look much worse if you see the Bears drop 4 to their next 5. Honestly, that's when it will look worse. But where it sits right now, that's what I'm saying. The overall view of it, not now because Debo's looking at the same thing that I'm saying that we're not looking at yet. And that is the nuances of in and out of what happened in the game. I'm saying the overall story of this isn't as bad. But when you look at what happened in the game, it makes it so much worse. And you told me how wrong I was. And I'm not. I'm right. The overall narrative of this game is not as bad as it is. But the actual ins and outs of how they did stuff on the field was terrible.
You can't look at one and not the other. Like, how can you look at one and not look at the other? You have to put them together.
Look at the other. But what I'm saying is they both exist. So you also have to look at both of them. And you're refusing to even look at the other one because you're so focused on the trash that you call, rather than, hey, wait a second. This was going to be a tough one anyway, but they still should have done it.
Dave, I hope Debo shows up at your house and shows you how to tackle. It's just like the State Farm commercial.
Hey, I have the best tackle in the history of the hallways of South Hagerstown High School. I had to break up a fight, and I took both
That's
guys
funny.
down and stopped the fight like that. And they had it on tape, and they showed it to show people how to handle stopping fights.
Wow, that's pretty good. Because guess what? I don't know if I ever even told you this. But my first year teaching, I too broke up a fight by taking the larger guy, a guy probably close to your size, football player, and pinning him against the wall with a perfect, shoulder to the stomach chest area, and pinned him to the wall and yelled at the other kid to get out of there.
Oh no, I took both kids to the ground together and laid on top of both of them where they couldn't punch each other.
Laid on top of both of them. Everybody, now take a moment and just picture that. Dave laying on top of 2 high school guys who are in a fight. That's pretty hilarious.
Frosty the Bear wants to know how tall I am. When I did a combine for football my junior year of high school, they measured me at 6'5". I think as you get older, I think we all shrink a little bit. So I'm every bit of 6'4", but I don't know that I reached the 6'5" stature anymore.
Yeah.
So, but my point is that if you frame it in the way of looking at the overall storyline, and then look at the individual things like you and Debo are trying to say, you're saying, my goodness, this is why this is not an excellent football team.
Yeah.
Okay. And I wrote an article with SealCareerNetwork.com from yesterday, Monday. It's not one of my typical articles. I just wanted to get this out. And the name of this article was The Reality of the Steelers AFC North Race. And people were all upset, and they said, oh, this is coaching malpractice if the Steelers blow this lead. If you were saying that, you weren't paying attention, or you just don't know ball. Not the ins and outs on the field, but how things work. Because all you had to do was look at, because it's a 2-horse race between the Steelers and the Ravens, and all you had to do was look at their schedule. The Ravens' schedule was brutal the first third of the season. And it was pretty much cake, with 2 exceptions, one of which is a team that's fallen off the cliff. Every year you're going to get these games where you think a win is impressive at the time, only to find out it's not. That's the Steelers beating the Vikings. The Vikings are a hot mess right now. So that win that they had against the Vikings that felt so good wasn't as impressive now that you have the context of more stuff going on. Okay. On the other side, that win against the Patriots is so much more impressive at this point of the season than it was when it happened.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. You get those kind of things. And honestly, looking at the middle of the Ravens schedule, I expect the best team that they had to play was the Vikings. And the Vikings, they were a hot mess against the Ravens. The Ravens are not playing very well if you watch them play. And they're the only team that I've watched them play the most other than the Steelers.
Yes.
They are not very good right now. They are not a very good football team right now.
No,
but neither are the Steelers. Neither are the Steelers. And people were saying, oh, how do you blow this lead? The Steelers' lead in the AFC North is not something they created themselves.
No, that was created by the schedule.
It was created by the schedule.
Yep.
And guess what? If they weren't in the league, I mean, if the Ravens don't start the season 1-5, oh my goodness, look out. No one had a chance to catch them. They were 1-5 because they played the 5 best teams on their schedule. In that time, maybe not the 5 best. They still got, honestly, if you look at current records, the Ravens have a harder schedule left than the Steelers. Okay. So remember that.
Correct. If you look at current records.
If you look at the records. Okay. So that's how that's all planning out. But I said, think of how the narrative would be different if keep the Steelers record or schedule exactly the same, but take something that they have no control over, which is the Ravens schedule, and flip their middle third with their front third. Okay. You flip week 7 through 12 and make them weeks 1 through 6. And the Ravens start 5-0. Well, they would have started week 1 with a bye, which you know what I mean. But they would have started 5-0 and then gone 1-5 over the last one. And the Steelers would have been way behind, and now they would have caught them. You would have felt completely different. They're both 6-5. They're both 6-5. So the feeling, the confidence that the Steelers fans were having over the Steelers being the team that was 3.5 games up through the first third of the season in the division was not something that the Steelers created. They were just a benefit from it.
Yeah, for me, Dave, I would say probably the biggest disappointment, which is why I felt even worse about this game, is that I look at the Bears and the Chargers as 2 teams that really are in that middle range, right?
Yeah.
I look at them in that. What's that? I'm still
static again. Yeah. I think we're both so animated. We're flipping our cords around. Is what's going on.
Actually, let me try that and see if that helps.
Yeah. So.
The thing I think is most disappointing, Dave, is between the Chargers and the Bears, you look at them really as 2 middling type teams.
Yeah.
And for us to face both of them
on the road,
but them hurting at the time, like those teams were both primed for the Steelers to go in and take victories from. Yes. And I would have thought we'd have gotten one of the 2, and we got none.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, they should have got the one this past week. But the title of the show we're almost 20 minutes in, and I've even said it. It's the Jekyll and Hyde of the 2025 Pittsburgh Steelers. That's what we're talking about. We've been talking about this. We're not even talking about news. We're just talking about this. Okay. My thing is, I actually think the Steelers, if nothing else, the Bengals have showed you this. The Steelers would be better off facing a team that's not dealing with a bunch of injuries. Do you want to know why?
Because don't exploit it anyway.
Yeah, they know what to expect. The unexpected nature, even though it wasn't as high of a quality for the Bears having all those extra players or players that were out, actually doesn't help the Steelers. So you talk about the teams dealing with injury. I don't think that helps the Steelers. Now, do I think that's something that should be the case? No, I don't. I think you should try to exploit everything that you can. But the Steelers are so much of a team of this is what we expect. You know, why did the Steelers struggle with Joe Burrow and everything the first time they faced him? Well, first of all, they were on the road on a short week. Don't get me started on that again. But it's because they didn't know what to expect from him with those receivers that he had. They should have.
You said Joe Burrow.
I said
I
Joe
think
Burrow,
you
sorry,
meant
Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco.
Joe something O. Joe O. Yeah. So, and that's the problem. And like Steel Chick 46 says, we don't adapt. You're right. And Coach Tomlin talks about it in the press conferences. Even the last time they faced the Bengals, where they had already ruled out Trey Hendrickson. And Coach Tomlin's talking about you got to prepare for somebody like that. And you know what? I bet you they probably did. And it probably affected their game plan. And they're probably helping out somebody as if Trey Hendrickson was going to be on the field. And that guy was ruled out before Coach Tomlin stepped to the podium. But that's the kind of stuff they do. Agreed?
Agreed.
Yeah. So let's talk about some specific. I mean, we've talked about some overall stuff that's frustrating. Let's talk some specifics from this past game. Okay. I think the key thing that lost this game for the Steelers more than anything was their mentality at the end of the first half.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
This was terrible. They're sitting there, and I shared the picture on our Slack channel. Hopefully you all have seen this out there on social media. It's 3rd and 5. They're not even across midfield yet. I mean, I'm talking so much, I think I just spit all over my camera.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Although it improved your look a bit.
It did. I look a little bit better cloudy. 3rd and 5. The Bears aren't even across midfield. And the Steelers' defensive mentality was to not give up too much yardage to give up a touchdown, rather than get one friggin' stop on 3rd down and give up no points.
Yeah, you put it up there. It was 3rd and 5, ball snap from the 41-yard line, and the first level of pass defense for the Steelers was sitting at the 50.
10 yards
sitting
off.
at the 50.
They're not defending. They didn't care about not giving up a first down because they were so scared of a touchdown. That is the definition of living in your fears. Who made that call?
Don't know.
Did the players do it on their own, or was it a horrible decision out there? That's an awful call. I don't think the players did it on their own. Just that was sarcasm, but I'm so angry you probably can't tell. Okay? You were literally playing to give up a field goal when all you had to do when you didn't even fathom the whole idea that you could stop them and not even let them score at all. All right, they're good. Oh, we scored with a little bit too much time on the clock. Don't give up another touchdown. Just give up the 3. You didn't have to give up the 3, and you lost by 3 points.
Yes.
You didn't have to give up the 3, and you lost by 3 points.
Just more of what had me disgusted from that game.
All right, now I got to ask another question for you.
Okay.
2 minutes and 1 second left. 4th and 9. Punt or go for it?
Now, wait a minute. On the 4th and 9, that's when Kyle left the game. When the Steelers punted, Kyle said, "That's it. I'm not watching if we're going to just punt it away."
And you know what's funny? I turned to my wife when it was before anyone had changed on the field, and I'm like, oh crap! I'm like, they actually have to punt this. I called punt that they should be punting before they went out and punted it, and here's why. You'd only completed one pass of more than 10 yards the whole game.
I know.
4th and 9, they weren't going to convert it. They were going to give up a field goal, and then they would have to score a touchdown at the end. And I'm like, you know what? I said they've got to punt it, and they're probably not going to see the ball again.
I was surprised.
Believe it or not, people shouldn't give them a pass for punting it just because it worked. Sorry. It is an outcome-based thing that we talk about. And the outcome there was the decision to punt was right. Because not only that, you're like, well, you don't know if they'd have converted that 4th and 9. Yeah, we do. because they had a 4th and 6 and couldn't convert it later.
The interesting thing, some with that though, Dave, is the Bears played into the Steelers' hand on that one now.
Mm-hmm.
By ending up themselves playing the double R, double P.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They had thrown the ball all over, I won't say all over, but they completed passes at will in the second half.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't try to pass, I'm surprised they went 2 runs and 1 pass. I'd have thought they'd have done it the other way around.
Run, pass, run. I think you run on first down to make them worth the timeout. Because if you bust one 5 or 6 yards, that changes everything.
Yeah. You either go run, pass, run, or run, pass.
Yeah. So, and say, you know what? Timeout, schmimeouts. If we get a first down, it's over. Correct. And that's the thing that bothers me sometimes is people get so worried about the team not having another timeout that they won't go for the first down. So, but this is something I said.
And that's why the Bears did that. And that's why it worked out that we got the ball back is they were too afraid to go for the first down, really.
Well, I mean, they did on 3rd down. And the Steelers, and that's why it was such a big deal that they lost that timeout. I don't want to get into that. The whole thing with the James Pierre and whatnot. And I also like the post-game show, or not post-game show, the post-game press conference that Mike Tomlin didn't answer the question of if you had a timeout, would that have changed things? Because that throws Pierre under the bus. Or I went back and I can't find video of it. Maybe someone else could tell me. When he went down on the field, sometimes the training staff is a little bit too quick to run out on the field. And they might not have known that was going to cost the Steelers their timeouts. And once the trainers enter the field, that you have to stop play. So I don't know if that happened or not. I really don't. But my thing is, it worked out where they got the ball back. But before that, my goodness, the thing that really changed the game was the Steelers 1st and 10 at about the 50, but instead we're 3rd and 9 back in their own zone. Yeah. And I'm sorry. We look at it now and we're like, good Lord, why didn't they just call the timeout and get it right rather than have the penalty? But in that moment, if the Steelers would have called a timeout, Steelers Nation would have lost their lids. How could you call a timeout in that situation? How could you do that? Right there. You need those 3 timeouts. No,
you need to not have a penalty.
Say the Rudolph scramble happens. But it didn't. Yeah.
That was tough because Rodgers, you could see him on
you saw the
sideline.
video.
He saw it. And if you saw, I think it was Gainwell that was pointing.
Gainwell's
trying to get him up.
Gainwell's the one who moved from one side to the other. But if you look, because it was Calvin Austin on the inside, right?
Yeah.
Calvin Austin never turned he was looking in to see if there was any change to play or what they needed to do for the snap. He never turned and looked and saw that Gainwell wasn't up on the line of scrimmage. When Gainwell saw that Austin wasn't up on the line, and if he's on the inside of you and you know there's no one on the outside of you, it doesn't matter that you're supposed to be the guy that's back. Move your crack up on the line. And then if he moves up, step back. That's just
that's why we
kind of stuff you should be dealing with in week 12.
Right. And that's the reason why you go to that play and guys are confused and they're not where they need to be. Just take the timeout.
Yeah.
Just take the time.
Which would have infuriated me. I'd have been furious if they'd called a timeout there. But if they would have gone back and said, oh, yeah, they were going to get a penalty. I'm like, okay, now I see what you're doing.
Yes, but exactly. Yeah.
The thing is,
I forget
busting the pocket and running for 22 yards is not something that you can. That's a one-off. That's not something you're going to repeat on the next play. So,
I also some things. I forget who I was caught a piece of on Monday morning on 93.7 The Fan. I forget which show I caught, but somebody on there, I just remember just being absolutely irate that on the last play of the game, you had Jaylen Warren and Darnell Washington both on the sidelines.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I mean, they didn't use Darnell Washington in this game. They didn't. They threw him the ball one time.
I know. I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, let him challenge those reserve linebackers. But
yes.
No, that wasn't their plan early in the week, and we don't want to stray from the plan. Mason hasn't started for the Steelers in almost 2 years, so we better not do that. And that's the thing. They've always treated him with kid gloves. And
I've also wondered at one point if maybe someone somewhere didn't try to outthink themselves. Oh, look, we used Darnell Washington to get against the Bengals. They're going to scheme for that, so then we'll scheme for something different.
Yeah. Yeah.
And could that have happened? Maybe. Still doesn't make it right, but.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about that last play, but we're going to go ahead and take our break right now because we have even this. It's funny, the Jekyll and Hyde. We want to talk about how you don't know, but part of this was the Jekyll and Hyde of Rich and I arguing about various things. But now, as you can just see, we're just kind of going off on stuff. We'll get back to it a little bit more when we come back. So stick around. Oh wait, if you're with us live, don't worry, we're not going anywhere. This is for the audio only. Stick around. We'll be right back after this break.
Relax, don't worry, no rush, what's the hurry? Relax, don't worry, don't worry. Relax, don't worry, no rush, what's the hurry? Relax, don't worry, relax.
All right, it's kind of hard to relax and not worried when we get this Jekyll and Hyde of the Steelers. You just never know what team you're going to get. You never, I'll be honest with you, and you never know what scheme you're going to get. But I know someone's like, it's 90% on coaching. Okay. It's actually not. To me, I'm going to tell you, as frustrating as the coaches is, it's 50-50. And here's why it's 50-50. The coaches need to identify what the strengths are of their players and what the weaknesses are of the opponent in order to get the right scheme. Even if they get it wrong, the players need to be good enough to play in whichever scheme.
That works to an extent.
Yeah.
Until you get to things like Mike Tomlin's press conference today, where he was asked a wonderful question by, I believe it was Chris Carter.
Yeah.
Said, Coach Tomlin, the situation where we had the for lack of a better term, busted coverage on the play where Herbig jumped off sides and they scored a touchdown.
Actually, I think it was Sawyer.
Was it
that
Sawyer?
That one was Sawyer. Herbig's was the one that was the Joey Porter interception. Yeah. That he was holding the ball out like this. Oh, it was driving me nuts. Sorry.
But anyway, and I loved the question was fantastic. It really was. Okay. It's like, hey, coach, we come out there and we say going trips to one side, one guy on the other. And a lot of times you end up seeing 4 vertical routes there, and we're in cover 3. And if we're in cover 3, how are you accounting for that 4th guy that if they're running 4 verticals? And you know what Coach Tomlin did? He scolded Chris Carter and refused to answer the question.
He did not scold Chris Carter.
He gave him credit, but then said, we're not going to talk about her scheme.
He's like, wow, that's pretty impressive for you
Yeah.
to take it to that level. He commended him. And honestly, I hate to tell you this, I'm so glad that he did not answer that question. Why would you tell your opponents exactly what you're going to do when you're in this and they do that, so then they know what you're going to do?
I don't think
It
Chris
would be
Carter
dumb
was
to answer that question.
I don't think Chris Carter was looking for him to say exactly what they would do. I don't think that's what that question was about. I thought that question was more about just trying. I think he was trying to. Honestly, he probably got his question answered, believe it or not. Because basically it sounded like he was trying to say, to me, that question was asking more, does the defense have the ability to audible out of a coverage? That's more what that question was about. If you I went back and
Now
watched it like 3 or 4 times.
See, now if you say that and you ask that question,
Yeah.
is your defense able to audible out of the coverage? That's the question. And that's one that would need to be answered. But to
Correct.
say, what would you do
Yeah,
there?
what would
to
you
say-
do?
That's
No.
the problem.
Yeah. Don't say what you would do there. But the bigger question was, because he kind of hinted at that, does the defense have the possibility to audible out of that, or how do you combat that? And the answer was, well, we're not going to tell you how we combat that. Okay, but you didn't answer, would you audible out of it,
Yeah.
or should
That's not what he asked. But that would have been a phenomenal follow-up. But technically that question was already a follow-up of the one
Yeah.
before.
Right.
So, but yeah, I said we were going to talk about it when we come back. We got to talk about the decision.
Okay.
4th and 6 on the 47-yard line.
Yep.
You can kick it. You could attempt a 65-yard field goal,
Yep.
or you could go for it.
And I'd have trotted and the way it had been going, I'd have trotted Boz out there and said, be the wizard. I had more faith in Boz making a 65-yard field goal than I did at the Steelers offense picking up 6 yards.
And I agree with you, but they couldn't.
But they couldn't.
Nope. Did they have enough time to run onto the field and line up and kick a field goal with the running clock? Yes, they did. But with a running clock and less than 45 seconds in the game, which means you don't have the full play clock, guess what? The referees aren't going to switch to a K-ball. And I don't want Boz kicking a 65-yard or 5-yard long he's ever done before.
That's true.
I put that out there on Twitter yesterday. That's the thing that people weren't thinking. They even kind of asked him today in the press conference, like, was it about the K-ball? And Coach Tomlin just said, I wasn't comfortable from that distance. Now, he ignored the K-ball part of it. But honestly, I think that has to come into it.
Yeah, it probably does.
Huge, super long field goals this year is because now the kickers are now allowed to manipulate the balls, which they weren't allowed to do for a long time. They're completely different footballs than what they're throwing out there. And I remember sometimes somebody kicked like a 40 or 50 some yard field or 40 something at the end of a game. And one of the things, or even it was the end of the half or something with the running clock. And part of the thing that was commended was that, hey, they did that. And that wasn't even a K-ball. And that was at least 10 yards shorter, if I'm remembering right. I might be off. Someone might correct me with that, than what they would have been asking Boz to do. Do I think Boswell could have hit a 65-yarder? Yes. Do I think would I put the odds over 75%? I'd probably put it about 75%, honestly, of Boz kicking a 65-yarder. But you take away the fact that it's not a K-ball, and I drop it to below 40.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying there. I get it.
Yeah. And some people were saying with 64. Any more kickers set up 8 yards behind where the line of scrimmage is, especially on longer field goals, because you don't want to be too close to where they can block it. So it's generally 8 yards. It used to be 7. Now anymore, it's 8. So, yeah. And it's funny because someone here said, this is Vegas, says, sounds like the team needs to make the refs aware of a possible field goal kick coming. So they can have the What's better is don't throw a 2-yard pass in the moving towards the middle of the field. I can't even say what's in the middle of the field. First down and third down, like on that first down catch that they threw, Calvin Austin got 2 yards. I said to him, like I said, my wife's watching with me. I said to her, I'm like, that'd have been better off being incomplete.
Yep. I said
because the 2 yards they got out of that play with the clock running, that's the kind of crap that I want the Steelers defense to be doing at the end of the half, the end of the game. Hey, I don't care heck, I don't even care that it was a 5-yard pass. You tackle him in bounds, the clock's running. That's not now. If the clock's running like the 14-yard pass they started the drive with, the Fairmouth, sure, great, wonderful. 2 yards. 2 yards.
People are out in the live chat saying, hey, couldn't they let the referees know a little bit ahead of time, get the K-ball ready? Why can't Boz be carrying the K-ball and toss it to the officials as he's coming out on the field?
I don't think they have it. There's designated people that have the footballs.
Okay, then why can't Boz have the guy locked arm in arm with him to run the football out there?
You would think, but because the last thing the officials want to do is be the ones who don't get the ball set in time for the kick to be made. Then it's like, oh, well, which team are you going to screw? Are you going to screw the team that you didn't get the ball set for in time, or are you going to stop the clock because you didn't get the ball set and give the advantage to the other team? That one way or the other is going to be bad. But no, it's not like high school where you're the one in charge of bringing the ball out and everything like that. So it's just different, and maybe that wouldn't have been an issue. Maybe they could have changed it, but honestly, I don't know because and honestly, I'm not making I'm not even trying a 65-yard field goal unless I know for sure it's going to be a K-ball. If you have that timeout, you call that, you let the clock run down. You call that, shoot. There's no reason. There's no reason to not leave anything more than 3 seconds on the clock if you're going to kick it, because you're either going to make it the tie or you're not. It's not like you're going to have another chance for something. If you have that timeout and you decide you're going to kick it, you just let it run down. So we're taking our time, guys, and then you call the timeout. But no, really, the best thing would be, wow, could you get 7 yards on 4th and 6, clock the ball, and then you're kicking it. Then you're kicking it under 60. But the decision there, and the thing is, there was some at that point with the amount of time left, you didn't have to go sideline. And some people were saying, oh, well, the it wouldn't have mattered because the pass wasn't far enough anyway. No, Metcalf was 2 yards behind the sticks coming back. I don't think he was going to come back past the sticks. But the guy was all over him. I don't even know that if the ball doesn't get tipped to the line of scrimmage, I don't even know that the ball gets to Metcalf anyway, because I think the defender is going to have his hands all over it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's so frustrating because and then it would have been another overtime game with the Bears that you get a bunch of those. The Steelers might not have won it in overtime anyway. No. I feel like when it came to stopping the pass, that the only thing that was slowing down the Bears passing game was Caleb Williams' inaccuracy.
Yeah.
That was it.
Well, what did you guys say? Because Jeff brought up in the postgame show, the Steelers had one quarterback hit.
No, yeah, I brought that up. And it was the safety. Or the touchdown. The sack.
Touchdown.
Yeah.
Yep.
They only had 8 total pressures.
Yeah. That was
1 sack, no hits, 7 hurries. That's it. That's all. And here's where I'm going to kind of start to go off a little bit. And I'm like, wait, Dave, you haven't been going off the whole show? Yeah, I kind of have. Is it possible for the Steelers to come up with a defensive scheme that can be successful against both the run and the pass? It seems like all they can do is sell out for one or the other.
Yeah. I know.
What was the game? where you only had a few options. I didn't play. I wasn't a big video game person way back in the day, other than our Atari. Didn't have this game. What was it called? That you had like several different options of a play to run, and your opponent had several different defenses they could call.
What?
And if you happen to call the right offense against the right defense, you're going to get a big play. And if they call the
Bowl.
right defense, what's that?
That's Tecmo Bowl.
Tecmo Bowl. Yeah, Tecmo Bowl. Okay. That if that's the case, that's what the Steelers' defense is. It's like the rushing touchdown when it was 3rd and 2 or 3rd and goal on the 2, and they come out in nickel with 2 guys with their hands in the dirt, and all these defensive backs, and they just run the ball right at the net because they have nobody in there to really stop the run. They're allowing 5 or 6 guys to block 2 guys at the first level, and 2 more at the next level to just push it right up the middle for 2 yards. Because you decided we can only defend the run or the pass, so we're going to guess pass on this one, and if they call a run, we're screwed.
Well,
And it's like-
did you see what the Bears were doing some in the second half? In what the Steelers were calling obvious run situations, Malik Harrison was come out on the field,
And then they throw.
and then they throw.
That's the
so
Mark
then-
Robinson treatment.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, look. See, teams do have the ability to exploit things the other
Yes.
teams do. Just
That
apparently
rather
the
than
Steelers
guessing
don't
what
have
they're
that
going
ability.
to do well before things, you adapt to it once you see what's going on. And the thing is, the Steelers had been doing that and then just stopped this game. I mean, I admit probably more against the Bengals. They sold out against the pass and said, we're just going to try to still stop the run. They gave up 2 decent runs, and luckily they didn't panic like they did the first time they played the Bengals. But in this game, they were convinced they needed to stop the run. We're going to make Caleb Williams beat us, and he did. I don't like dropping into that constant cover 3. Their cover 2 look with, maybe part of it was because Joey Porter Jr. was injured. I said that too. But they had defenses that were working recently, and they didn't run much. Yeah. Anything else from this game you want to rant about, since this is a rant thing, before
No.
I do our super chat and then we go on to the Bills?
I'm getting too tired to rant anymore.
But I just have all those kind of things, okay? I have one more rant to go on about. It is so exhausting that every time the Steelers lose a game, that all I ever hear is Tomlin. I get it. I understand. But that's all it is. And that's why I have to just say, you know what, I'm done dealing with Steelers fans. No joke. Seriously. I put that tweet out there because somebody had said something they were about Mike Tomlin, blah, 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 and they talked about the field goal. I quote tweeted it, and I said about the field goal, and I brought up the thing about the K-ball. Someone responded going off on me about Tomlin. Didn't even mention the kicking. I'm like, seriously? You're not even bringing up the issue that I talked about. But just because there was one little thing in the original post about Tomlin, you're just going to go off on that. And then what do they admit? Well, I didn't even get to watch the game.
Yeah. So I will say this, Dave. I got to give credit to another one. I catch a bunch of clips from 93.7.
Yeah.
Okay. I caught another one. And this one was kind of eye-opening in a way. Okay. Mike Tomlin's record over the last 10 years, his winning percentage.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 0.55 or 5.6, something like that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they went back and they looked at coaches with similar lengths of coaching and similar winning percentage over that.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy they came up with that was the closest
Mm-hmm.
was Wade Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
Has Mike Tomlin over the last 10 years turned into Wade Phillips?
Yeah. I mean, and here's the thing. I'm not saying that it might not be time for a change. They're not going to do it midseason. You
No,
can whine
they're
about
not.
it. I'm just tired of the constant that anytime something happens bad, it's all on Mike Tomlin. And I do understand that the buck stops with him. I do. And in this case, when some of the schemes were really bad, it's at his feet. But saying I stopped watching games 4 games ago because Mike Tomlin is still the coach, then guess what? You are a fair weather fan.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand.
Because if
You
you,
know,
didn't
because
understand that as
my
soon as
allegiance isn't to Mike Tomlin. My allegiance is to the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I will say one thing about the whole Mike Tomlin thing, and I'm like if things, it's not going to happen now. So you can complain about it now all you want. All you're doing is complaining to hear yourself. Even if you have a point, all you're doing is to hear yourself complain, because that's not going to change during this season. It's
correct.
not.
As soon
Okay?
as Coach
And
Tomlin
that's- yeah.
stepped on the field week 1,
Yeah.
he is the coach for the season.
Exactly. So now, at the end of the year, and if it was up to me, if I'm like Tomlin stays or Tomlin goes, that's going to be so tough. And I'm going to tell you why I live in my fears about Tomlin going. Okay? You're like, but he's not a good coach. There are plenty of things that he does not do well, and there are plenty of things he does do well. The biggest, and if Mike Tomlin decided he wanted to move on and everything, that's fine. That could be exciting. It could be exactly what the Steelers need. Everyone wants to talk about Andy Reid in Philadelphia. Andy Reid in Philadelphia. He's done so much. He was such a good coach. He was there for a long time. Blah, 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 blah. I can't remember whose decision it was, if it was the Eagles or Reid's or both. I don't even remember. I think it was the Eagles, but I can't remember. I don't even care. It's the Eagles. And he goes on and he wins Super Bowls with Kansas City, and the Eagles go on and they win Super Bowls without him. That is, but you know what that is? That's the exception, not the rule. You're most likely to deal with a Mike Vrabel. When they wanted to move on because it had gotten too stale under Mike Vrabel in Tennessee after a couple tough seasons. What has Tennessee done since then? They were 3-14 last year, and they're currently 1-10. Okay, so for every Andy Reid, there's a Mike Vrabel, and you're like, well, why do I feel that it could be a Vrabel decision? 3 words: Art Rooney 2.
Yeah.
Dude, the guy sucks. He's terrible at his job.
Yes,
He's
he
the
is.
one who's the worst.
They actually brought that up on the fan
He's
this
the one
week
that's
as well.
terrible. And
Yes.
the thing is, here's what I know. And some of these things, I'm probably going to say some things that I shouldn't say, and I'm going to say them anyway, because there's certain things that you're told by sources and you're told you can't share. And it's been some time, so I can't remember what I can and can't. I know some things I definitely can't. But you know what? The only person that I know that Art Rooney II has hired as a coaching wise. Now, of course, he was there with Omar Khan. Okay. And that still remains to be seen how that's working. Okay. Because Steelers keep adding all this talent, but yet it's not resulting in anything on the field. So some people like Brian Anthony Davis wanted to talk about him being one of the best GMs ever. I'm like, there's a lot of that story to be written. Okay. But the one hire that I know that most people don't know that I know he was responsible for was freaking Matt Canada. Coach Tomlin didn't want Matt Canada. He wanted to fire him every year.
Yep.
He had somebody else he wanted. Art Rooney wouldn't pay. He wouldn't move quick. Art Rooney chose Matt Canada. Tomlin was stuck with him. And then Tomlin gets blamed for it. And that's why Rooney, when it came to the hiring of Arthur Smith, with an offensive coordinator there, he's like, this is Mike's choice. This is Mike's choice. Because I'm pretty sure that's something that Tomlin said, hey, I'm making the choice or there's going to be a problem. Okay? So this is the owner that did not hire Mike Tomlin, hasn't done anything for the Steelers since his dad passed away, was responsible for Matt Canada, won't pony up to expand the coaching staff, and you think he's going to pick and in a franchise that won't fire head coaches, 3 head coaches since since 1969. So if he makes an awful decision, they're not going to fire him. They're going to keep him forever. And I don't trust Art Rooney II to make a good decision. And that's why I'm not screaming to fire Mike Tomlin, because I don't trust them to actually get something better in place. There's my rant.
Okay.
I'll let you talk.
Valid rant. Like you didn't say anything in there that I haven't heard or don't understand why in the world you'd say it.
Yeah. So it's not like I'm saying Mike Tomlin is a great coach and shouldn't be fired. I'm just saying I have no trust in the process that it would be better with him gone.
Right.
And that's sad, because I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying I wouldn't be shocked if it got worse. And I don't think they would own up to it. So you want to know the truth? I don't even know how old Art Rooney II is. I'm not even sure. But there's eventually going to be a time where they're going to pass the torch to the next Rooney. And I don't even remember the name of who it is, but it's someone I know. He played college football at a smaller school around Pittsburgh, stuff like that. I think it's another Dan Rooney. Okay. But I don't know the title at the end. I'm actually hoping that he's brought more into a bigger role by the time Coach Tomlin is gone. In all honesty, that's how I feel. You can disagree with me, and that's okay too. But that's why I'm not so quick to say pull the plug on Mike Tomlin. The Steelers should, because I really don't trust them to get something better.
Understood.
Because, yeah. Like Matt Cat 49 says, I'm sorry, I've been looking at the live chat at all. He says R2 is not a football guy. True, he's an attorney, and he should let other people make those kind of decisions.
He is 73 years old.
Is he?
Yes.
When did how well Dan stepped down because he became ambassador, right?
Yep.
He was still involved with the team, but he wasn't head of operations stuff. So that was in what, 2008?
8 or
when
9.
he became ambassador?
Actually, would have been
because
8. It would have been 9.
9 because the election was in 2008. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah. So that's, I mean, and maybe they knock it up.
Art Rooney II was named president in 2003.
Was he? But who really was running things still?
Yeah.
It wasn't until he became ambassador that Dan really stepped further away.
Yeah. Art was named president, and I think the idea was to have him in there for a few years with Dan to try to learn everything he could.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So I mean, and honestly, here, what Mr. Woodside says, I didn't read the whole thing yet, so I might not agree with him by the end. He says, Dave understood Val, but Tomlin has to change, man. This stuff, I'll just say that, has got to stop. I mean, Terrell Austin, what's that about? I agree. In my perfect scenario, Mike Tomlin changes, gets phenomenal coaches around him, which I don't think he's actually been given the funds to do. Especially, that's something I know I can't share. If I could tell you to see what really wanted to hire instead of Matt Canada. Okay. But if he was actually given full reign of his coaching staff and he would surround himself with better people, that would be the dream for me. And let him do that and all that other stuff, and maybe this team could improve. But right now, I still think that they're stuck in mediocrity from the top down. So, and I don't think they're good. Marky D says it's Dan. I met him and talked to him for 30 seconds. So yeah, that I remember that now. Listen to one of his shows. Yeah. So my thing is, so if Mike Tomlin chooses to go on his own, that doesn't really, that changes everything, and that would be fine with me. But everyone that wants to just let him go, that's just so tough. So, all right.
This is one of those, Dave, where really when you look at it, I don't know what it, I can't say for certain what it is that the Steelers need to do. But I know as fans, we are just tired of a decade of mediocrity.
And I want it to be better. But that's why I don't think firing Coach Tomlin's going to make it better, because I don't trust Art Rooney II to actually make a better hire.
Yeah.
Sorry. And that's frustrating. All right,
It
we're
is.
running way over, but our rants have been interesting.
Are you
For-
gonna-
first thing we go, Steel Dog
There you
88, $5 in the tip jar. Trust me, I was going to get the super chats. Just yeah. Says, to be honest, how far do you really think we go this season? Seems maybe 9-8 to me, starting to crash out on this coaching staff. Yeah, honestly. And the thing is that the fans that are frustrated that the Steelers they don't have the lead anymore in the AFC North and everything else. But was this team really that good? That's what you have to yourself. But I'll be honest with you. What teams in the NFL right now are really that good? There's not a lot.
There's not.
But there's a lot of teams that are hanging around the middle that could get hot. And the Steelers could be one of those teams, but based on their recent history, you're not seeing it. I didn't want the Steelers to have a huge lead in the AFC North and limp in. I'm glad they have to fight for it now. Because if they don't fight for it and win it, they don't deserve to be there at all. So the thing is, I don't think this team is all that good. Now, could they get it together and start actually playing and scheming and everything good enough to do well? Absolutely. But bottom line is, I said this in that article on Monday. Fans are upset that this big lead in the AFC North is gone. I'm like, why? Were you trying to Raven-proof your season? It's almost like fans wanted the lead to be so big that the Steelers could lose to the Ravens twice and still win the North. Guess what? If you lose to the Ravens twice, you don't deserve to win.
You don't. Correct.
Okay? Now, you got to prove that you're the team that deserves the North by beating the Ravens twice. Like I had someone comment in the article, the Steelers have to win every game the rest of the season or they're not going to make playoffs. That's a lie. If you beat the Ravens twice, you got to go 4-2 over the last 6. Mathematically, you're in. If the Ravens go 4-2 and lose both games to the Steelers win the North.
Yeah.
End of story. And for every other game other than the Steelers that the Ravens would lose, that's one less game the Steelers have to win as long as they would beat the Ravens both times. Do I want the Steelers to have to beat the Ravens both times? No. But that is the reality we are in now. That's what it is, Steelers fans. You got to beat the Ravens twice. And if you split with them, you just got to hope it works out right. And here's what's crazy. The Ravens are in first place in the North now because they've played one less division game than the Steelers, so they're 2-0 versus 2-1. If they drop a game to Cincinnati, the Steelers already have the next tiebreaker on them. They're a game up in conference record because guess what? That loss to Chicago doesn't hurt as bad because it was against the NFC. If they could get there. So bottom line is the Steelers season comes down to staying alive, trying to play well, beat the Ravens. That's what it comes down to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you've got to
we can't
win a
worry
bunch of
about
your
the
other
Ravens.
games and split with the Ravens, or you just beat the Ravens twice and then do okay.
Can't worry about the Ravens.
Yeah.
Because next is the Bills.
Next is the Bills. Okay. We got $5 dingo dollars from Marky Dean, Steelers Nation Australia. Says, I agree, Dave. I can't handle that anymore. Fire Tomlin words are meaningless to me. Okay, that was about me saying, just stop with the Fire Tomlin stuff because you can't have a Steelers conversation now without people bringing that up, but they only bring it up in weeks the Steelers lose. Steelers win, you're not hearing that. You hear it a little, but in weeks they lose, it's everything.
See, to me, bigger than the Fire Tomlin, that's I feel there needs to be that change in philosophy. Okay? You'd know you're going to probably get a change in philosophy if Mike Tomlin's gone. But that doesn't mean that if he's here, there still can't be a change in philosophy.
Yeah.
But Mike Tomlin would really have to man up and own that change.
Yeah. Hey, it's so funny. I was trying to get caught back up on the live chat. Steelers Freak 1964 said the exact team I was thinking of. Who's a team that's just out there that's playing great right now? The Rams are. But here's the other thing. Will they be playing great in January? Like I said, there's a lot of just average teams, and it's going to be who's playing their best ball at the end of the season.
Yep.
So is there hope? If you want to look for it, doesn't mean I expect them to be playing their best ball at the end of the season, but that's what it takes. That's what it takes. All right. Yeah. Play the Bills this week, which you will be
In the stadium.
Yep. So I've got to knee jerk it this week.
Appreciated. I appreciate
Mm-hmm.
it. So does hashtag pay Kyle, because he can't write. He can't do the writing this week either, because this is the game he asked me to try to get for us to go to this year.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going.
Yeah.
And going with our brother-in-law has your seats for the your guys' seats for the game.
Yep.
So he and my nephew that stays here with us, we're all four
Yep.
going.
That sounds like a fun time. That really does.
All I
'Cause
know is this.
Your sons are the same age, So yeah,
It's to be kind of current weather forecast is still some showers around in the afternoon, evening. And fairly chilly rain. I think Kyle and I are going to be happier with our seats.
yeah, because you'll be up there with unless the rain's blowing in. from
Nope,
a
it's
certain
not
direction.
to be.
Okay,
It's not to be. It's to be where it's helping us out to the good.
yeah.
So we will be there. So let's
Yeah.
get the scores, Dave.
Yeah, we
Shall
will.
we get-
One other thing. I want to bring
Okay.
up one thing before the scores. John S. said, at minimum, it's still fun to have meaningful games in November and December. Many Steelers fans have never experienced meaningless games. Steelers have only played one under Mike Tomlin. Meaning a meaningless game because you're eliminated. It could be a
Yes.
meaningless game because you're locked in. But that's not the Steelers either. So,
Nope.
yep. So, Tim Pratt with Rich with your Acrisure forecast.
Hold on, I'm waiting for his. No. Hold on, I'm waiting for his next comment.
Uh-oh.
You don't want a Deep Creek Lake fishing forecast
No.
there, Pastor Pratt?
No.
No? Okay.
Okay. So I already said Steelers preview is going to be sometime early tomorrow, Wednesday, because of Thursday, Thanksgiving. I hope everyone has a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy it. I don't know how much you enjoy it. Those Ravens play on Thanksgiving night, and for the fourth straight year, they host the Bengals on a Thursday. Bengals fans are livid because they know they got one over on the Steelers because of the AFC North Road home thing with Thursday nights, and they know that they've been screwed 4 years in a row by having to go to Baltimore on Thursday.
Yeah.
But I tell you, it would really be something if I think it's Joey B and not Joey F that's going to have to pull this one off.
We will see.
That'll be real interesting. So if none of this, enjoy your Thanksgiving. Hopefully it doesn't get ruined. You can cheer for once. Sorry, Marky D, you're going to cheer for the Bengals this week. It's got to be done because
No, Marky D, be like me. I'm not watching the game. I'm not watching it.
But you are going to watch the Bills game. So my thing is, this is the Steelers have a tough stretch. Is this another one of those games where if it plays out exactly like the last game, are you going to be furious and call this team trash, or do you go to look at it first and realize, hey, this is a team that the Steelers are home underdogs against because they're a good team?
This, Dave, again, this all comes down to it. It's not always about the win or lose. Sometimes it's about the how you get there and
Exactly.
and
I agree.
what's going on. And it was one thing against the Bears to take a loss, but I had plenty of things I was upset about in that game that I was ranting about.
Yeah.
Even when the Steelers had the lead.
Yes.
That I wasn't happy with and just
Yep.
was wondering what was going on. So it really comes down to how things are done and how the Steelers execute. Honestly, they're playing a good team. Look, Buffalo's we're 6-5. They're 7-4.
yeah.
That's
They're coming off a mini bye.
They're coming off a mini bye. They've got it. We talk about the Steelers have some issues. Guess what? The Bills have some issues as well.
Yeah, I just to let you know, I looked back, and the Bills are, I think, it's either 3-2 or 4-2. I didn't count 2020 because of the weird stuff. I didn't go back beyond that. Since 2021, on their mini bye, coming out of their mini bye, but they've all but one been at home, and the one time they were on the road, they lost. So I don't know that the mini bye is super helpful. So go ahead.
what's it going to be? It honestly, what are conditions going to be? I mean, if it's still spitting rain up there at 425 on Sunday, it's going to be a pretty chilly rain. Actually, I'm not going to be surprised if we're not temperatures in the 30s not far into the game. And if you're getting rain with that's going to be brutal. Who handles that better? Honestly, that's what that potentially comes down to.
Do the Bills handle rain? I don't know. They handle snow.
They handle snow,
I
but
don't
how
know
do
that they do rain.
That's right. So, who knows? Who knows? This was tough for me to pick. It is. I expect it to be another game where everybody's, having heart attacks and could be close at the end. Right now, it's like this. I have some friends that are Bills fans. And I know some of them aren't particularly happy with how the Bills have been playing. So I'm going to sit here and say that I'm going to, in the end, take the Bills in a close one. And some of my Bills friends would probably say where they're at, they'd take the Steelers in a close one. Because it's probably going to be pretty close.
Yep.
I'm still of that mindset that this team hasn't really proven themselves to me yet to have any kind of consistency.
Yep.
The most, I think I put this in my Worthless 2 Cents article one week, is that the most consistent thing about the Steelers is their inconsistency.
That's why they're Jekyll and Hyde.
So I'm going with the Bills in this one, and I'm going to go Bills 27, Steelers 24.
All right, 27-24 Bills is what you have. I've got it out there for people to put in their scores. Make sure you put the team. I'll tell you now because I've already had to be working on that. I'm leaning towards something similar, but you got to wait and see on the preview how that plays out. So we've got Matt Cat 49 says 28-27 Bills. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Steel Dog 88 has 31-20 Bills. That says that's how I feel. Now it's Tuesday. Things could change by Sunday. Pickens, you big dummy. Steelers 24-23. Happy Thanksgiving. Matthew Bunk says 34-27 Steelers. This would not shock me for the Steelers to turn around and beat a team like the Bills after losing this past week. It's kind of the way they are. That's the Jekyll and Hyde nature of what they're doing. And you know what? It wouldn't shock me if they turn around. They could beat the Bills, Ravens, and Lions. Who's the other one in there? And the Dolphins. Or no, and then end up losing to the Dolphins at home. Or beat the Dolphins and then lose to the Browns in Cleveland. That's the Jekyll and Hyde nature of this team, is that they can still beat teams that you think are quote unquote better than them, and they can lose to teams that aren't as good as them. That's what they do. So here we go. Outside Steeler fan says good guys pull off the upset. 24-27. Or 27-24. That was the same score you had, right, Rich? Just opposite teams. Afton Forward's got 35-12 Bills. Ooh, 12. Yikes. Okay. T.R. Pratt has 31-14 Buffalo.
There's the Tim Pratt I've come to know and love.
Yeah. The Frosty the Bear says 16-13 and Slop Fest. Steelers win for pride's sake. Okay. Feel the Steel has Steelers 3, Bills 2. This is one that you don't have the digits put in words. 35-10 Buffalo. 10. Yikes. Okay. Mr. Woodside has 27-24 Steelers. Kathy Ford has 31-23 Steelers. And sorry, Feel the Steel, you already got yours. So you don't get to change it. We'll see if any more coming. Hey, like I said, we do have a change up with stuff. We do have Steel City Insider coming this week. I think the Steelers Fix might be bumped back a day because of Thanksgiving. I think Black and Gold Blueprint might be bumped back a day because of Thanksgiving. But we're going to get you almost, if not all of the shows this week still We'll have the post game show and everything coming up on Sunday. Make sure you check it out, steelcurtainnetwork.com. I know on Thanksgiving it's kind of We'll at least have an open thread up. We'll have articles. That's when you're still going to get my compensatory update of how things are going there. It's basically, what's his name? Dan Moore Jr. watch is basically what it is. So that's how it goes. Rich, what do you have to say to close us up extra late here tonight?
I'm still trying to figure out how in the world I'm going to dress for this potentially cold and rainy game. But I always do look forward to going to the stadium because it's just a fun and unique experience.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I'm going with Kyle because he and I really have a lot of fun at these things. Actually, I'll probably, even if the Steelers aren't playing well, at some point in the game, I'll probably be laughing because Kyle will be making what I consider to be hilarious snide comments about the team that just have a tendency to crack me up. So, really, I just want to wish everybody out there a very happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the holiday. Enjoy some time with family if you can. But don't forget, come Sunday at 4:25, which is not when God intended football to be played, but pretty close. Well, let's all get together and watch the Steelers, and maybe in the end we could be thankful for a Steelers victory. Can't wait.
Can't wait.